The first time I saw the contract, I thought it was a joke. The document hovered in midair, projected by the embassy's crystalline interface. Lines of alien script shimmered beside a human translation. At the bottom, a single sentence glowed brighter than the rest. Marriage agreement between human representative Elias Carter and Her Majesty Selvara of the Astrix Dominion. I laughed, actually laughed, inside the silent negotiation chamber. The Astrix were a powerful interstellar empire. Their ships patrolled half the known galaxy. Their technology made Earth look like a child's workshop. And somehow, their queen wanted to marry me. A human diplomat with a nervous habit of tapping his fingers when stressed. Across the table, the Astrix delegation sat motionless. Their faces were humanoid, silver-skinned, eyes like molten amethyst. Their expressions rarely shifted. Humor was foreign to them. "You misunderstand," I said carefully. "This must be symbolic. A cultural exchange ritual?" The lead advisor, Vera, tilted her head. "No misunderstanding, Elias Carter. Our queen has chosen you as consort. The agreement is legal and binding under Astrix law." My heartbeat thudded in my ears. "Why me?" Vera's lips curved faintly. "You are statistically compatible." That answer did not comfort me. 3 months earlier, Earth had made first official contact with the Astrix Dominion. Humanity celebrated. Politicians shook hands. Scientists drooled over technology. And diplomats like me tried to keep up while pretending not to be terrified. The Astrix were regal, disciplined, and coldly logical. They ruled with efficiency bordering on obsession. Their society valued stability above all else. No rebellion, no chaos, no emotional leadership. Which made it even stranger when Queen Selvara requested a personal meeting with me. Not the president. Not the council leaders. Me. At the time, I thought it was an honor. I soon learned it was a selection. I met Selvara in her private audience chamber aboard the Astrix flagship. She stood taller than me, clad in a flowing mantle of dark starlight fabric. A crown of orbiting crystalline shards hovered above her head, rotating slowly like miniature moons. She studied me with ancient eyes. "You are human," she stated. I nodded. "Last I checked." "I have studied your species," she said. "You are unpredictable, emotion-driven, yet adaptable." "Thank you. I think. You have no political ambition, no allegiance to any ruling faction. You are neutral." "I suppose so." She stepped closer. The air seemed to tighten around her presence. "I require a consort," she said. "Not merely for tradition. My empire faces instability. A ruler must be bound to a stabilizing force. The Astrix value order. Humanity values emotion. The union will balance both." I stared. "You want to marry a human for political equilibrium?" "Yes." It was the calmest proposal in history. No romance. No flowers. Just galactic strategy. I did what any reasonable person would do. I asked for time to think. The problem was Earth's leaders didn't think. They saw opportunity. An alliance sealed by marriage. A human beside the most powerful ruler in known space. Within days, my superiors were practically shoving me toward the altar. "This is the greatest diplomatic breakthrough in history," they said. "You'll be a hero. You'll prevent interstellar conflict." No one asked whether I wanted to marry an alien queen for the sake of galactic stability. Eventually, the choice stopped feeling like a choice. I signed. The wedding ceremony took place on Astrix Prime, beneath twin suns and a sky streaked with violet auroras. Billions watched across the galaxy. I stood in formal attire designed by Astrix artisans, part human suit, part alien ceremonial armor. Selvara stood beside me, radiant and unreadable. We exchanged vows in 2 languages. Human words of partnership. Astrix words of eternal binding. When the final vow ended, a surge of light washed over us. The Astrix bond mark flared across our wrists, linking our neural patterns. The crowd erupted in silent applause. Astrix clapped by touching fingertips to foreheads. I had just married a queen. I had no idea what came next. At first, life as consort felt ceremonial. I attended galactic councils. I smiled beside Silvara. I gave speeches about unity. I tried not to spill alien drinks that shimmered like liquid stars. But slowly, I realized something unsettling. No one questioned Silvara. No one disagreed with her. No one even suggested alternatives. She ruled absolutely. And she ruled alone. One night, I asked her about it. We were on a balcony overlooking Astrix Prime's luminous cities. Airships drifted silently between towers of crystal and metal. Does no one ever challenge you? I asked. Challenge is disorder, she replied. But disagreement can improve decisions. She turned to me. Emotion-based governance. Inefficient. Risk-prone. Humanity thrives on emotion, I said. It's how we grow. Silvara regarded me for a long time. You were chosen, she said, because your species introduces instability. Controlled instability creates evolution. I shivered, though the night was warm. I'm not an experiment, I said quietly. For the first time, her expression softened. You are not. You are a partner. I wanted to believe her. Months passed. I began noticing strange patterns in a strict society. Citizens moved with purpose, but without joy. Children studied from birth to fill assigned roles. Creativity was limited to controlled sectors. Music existed, but only in mathematically perfect sequences. The Astrix had achieved flawless order, and they were stagnant. No innovation, no rebellion, no dreams. They had conquered the galaxy and lost themselves in the process. I realized then why Silvara chose a human. Not for love, for change. The crisis came without warning. A distant Astrix colony declared deviation from central governance. They demanded autonomy, experimentation, emotional expression. The Astrix Council demanded immediate military suppression. Silvara stood before them, regal and still. Order must be preserved, the council chanted. All eyes turned to her. She looked at me, and in that moment I knew she was torn. If she crushed the rebellion, stagnation continued. If she allowed it, civil war might erupt. I stepped forward. I request the right to speak, I said. The council hissed in disapproval. A human had no authority here. But Silvara raised a hand. Let him speak. I took a breath. Your empire is dying, I said. Not from weakness, but from perfection. You fear chaos, but chaos is the seed of progress. The rebels are not your enemies. They are your future. Murmurs rippled through the hall. The council demanded punishment for my insolence. Silvara remained silent. Then she did something no Astrix ruler had ever done. She stepped down from her throne. Gasps echoed through the chamber. I will not suppress the colony, she said. Nor will I allow civil war. The Astrix dominion shall enter a new era. Shared governance. Emotional integration. Adaptive evolution. The council protested. The military threatened. Silvara turned to me. Human consort, she said. Stand beside me. I realized then that I wasn't just a spouse. I was her anchor to a future she had never dared imagine. The following days were chaos. Reforms ignited resistance. Hardline factions plotted rebellion. Rumors spread that Silvara had been corrupted by human influence. One night, Assassins infiltrated the palace. I woke to alarms screaming through the halls. Selvara stood already armed, a blade of pure energy in her grasp. "Stay behind me," she ordered. "Not happening," I said, grabbing a ceremonial weapon I barely knew how to use. They came in shadows, silent, deadly. We fought back to back. I swung wildly, heart pounding, while Selvara moved with lethal grace. An assassin lunged toward her blind side. I stepped in front, taking the strike meant for my queen. Pain burned across my shoulder. Blood, red, human, splashed onto the marble floor. Selvara's eyes widened. She struck down the attacker with fury unlike anything I had seen. When it was over, I collapsed. She knelt beside me, pressing her glowing hands over my wound. Healing energy surged through me. "Why?" she whispered. I winced. "Marriage agreement. Remember? I'm obligated." A rare, trembling laugh escaped her. "No, Elias Carter," she said. "You are more than obligation." The attempted coup failed. The rebels were captured. The council, shaken by Selvara's resolve, accepted reform rather than destruction. Slowly, a strict society changed. Children began painting without mathematical guidelines. Musicians composed imperfect songs. Citizens debated ideas. Some mistakes were made. Some systems failed. But something new blossomed. Life. And through it all, Selvara ruled, not as a flawless monarch, but as a leader willing to grow. And I remained at her side, not as a political symbol, but as her partner. Years later, I stood again on the palace balcony. A Strix Prime glittered below, now vibrant with unpredictable movement. Airships painted in artistic designs. Markets filled with laughter. Colors that once never existed in a Strix design now bloomed everywhere. Selvara joined me. "The galaxy watches us," she said. "Some fear us. Others admire us." "Change is scary," I replied. She looked at me. "Do you regret signing the agreement?" I thought of Earth, of quiet mornings before diplomacy swallowed my life, of friends I rarely saw, of a normal future that never came. Then I looked at her, at the living, breathing world we had reshaped together. "No," I said. "Not for a moment." She took my hand, her silver fingers intertwined with mine. "In my culture," she said softly, "marriage contracts are eternal." But love was never part of the tradition. "And now?" I asked. Her eyes glowed like twin galaxies. "Now it is." The universe had gained something rare. A ruler who embraced emotion. A human who found purpose beyond his world. And a marriage agreement that began as political necessity, but became the foundation of a new era. Years passed, and the Strix dominion was no longer the rigid empire it once was. It had become something new, alive, unpredictable, creative. Some called it dangerous. Others called it beautiful. History would remember it as the moment a perfect civilization learned how to dream. On the anniversary of our union, Selvara and I stood before the great assembly. Once, this hall had been silent and unquestioning. Now, voices debated freely. Ideas clashed. Laughter echoed. It was messy, loud, and utterly human. Selvara addressed them with regal calm, yet warmth now lived in her voice. "Order gave us survival," she said. "Emotion gave us meaning. Together, we have become more than conquerors of stars. We have become explorers of possibility." Applause thundered through the chamber. Later, in the quiet of our chambers, Selvara removed her floating crown and set it aside. Without it, she looked less like a ruler of galaxies and more like a woman who had carried eternity on her shoulders. You changed my empire, she said. You changed my life, I replied. She rested her forehead against mine, a gesture she had learned from humans. Our marriage began as calculation, but what we built is real. I smiled. One marriage agreement, one impossible bride, and somehow the universe survived it. She laughed softly, a sound once unheard in a Strix culture. Outside, twin suns dipped beneath the horizon, casting gold and violet across a world reborn, not through conquest, not through perfection, but through a single choice to trust something unknown. And so, beneath alien skies, a human and a ruler stood together, no longer bound by contract alone, but by something greater than law, by love, by change, by a future written together among the stars.